Evelyn, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Excellent. Mark, wiggle your left ear if you can hear me. Left ear, just so we see. Oh, no. I truly, I don't know. Okay. Outstanding. And I will monitor this. So, great. Well, thank you all. Betty, can I hand you the mic again? Or do you want to kick us off today?
Good morning. And can the people hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I actually am going to hand it to Tim and Betsy and Mark, maybe Tim and Betsy first and then Mark and Nancy. And the reason is, I believe their all-electric vehicles are the future. And that's where we all want to get to. And they've raised some challenges. We all have some challenges. And then I'll talk about my plug-in hybrid, which is a transitional, I think, to the full thing. So I'll let them start first. I think that's our goal. And then give you some ways to transition. It might make it a little bit easier.
Betty, can you hold the mic closer to your face, please?
I will turn up the volume too. That should help.
Yeah, we missed the end of what Betty said.
Okay, the end, if I can remember, is that I think the fully hybrid, fully electric car is the goal for the future. But I might have a transition option that for various people might make more sense now versus the full electric. So I'll let you guys start first.
Okay, great. So Tim and Betsy are gonna go, right? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear us, Nancy? All of you online there? Okay. So I'll just start by, actually, I'm going to start by thanking Nancy and Mark, who were our inspiration and our go-to people for buying our all-electric vehicle, which is a Chevy Bolt. And we had long conversations with them, and they persuaded us. We initially were thinking about getting a hybrid as well, but they enticed us to get a fully electric vehicle, and we have not regretted that choice in any way. As I said earlier, we bought with, I should say too, that this was a time when there were an astonishing number of rebates and incentives to buy all electric vehicles. So we did there was Massachusetts, and Tim can correct me and add more details, I'm sure, about this, but there were various enticements to buy at that time. And we did our research, we looked at various cars, and we ended up buying a Chevy Bolt. And the version, the model that we bought was actually a top of the line model, which we have never done with any other car. It retailed at $44,000, and our purchase price was $18,000. Now there were costs attached to that, and Tim can give you more details about that. So we definitely ended up paying more than that. But it was like this amazing time to be able to buy this car. So we've had it for a little over a year, 13 months now. We have almost 10,000 miles on it. We took a long road trip last year from here to North Carolina to visit family with the car. And I think, and I'll just conclude with this, that the car performed very well. Our major challenge, and this is an advocacy challenge for us all, was the lack of infrastructure for recharging. And it was very difficult, and it took, we kind of got it, we got the rhythm down a little bit going back, but on our going down, it added numerous hours to our expected travel time because there weren't enough rechargers, there were wait lines, and we would sometimes, I think at one point we spent almost 3 hours in one place waiting to get recharged. We understand that Tesla is in the process of opening up its previously, exclusive number of rechargers. And we'd go to places where there'd be 9 Tesla chargers and 2 public ones. So you know, we hope that things are marching forward in that regard. But all in all, we've been very happy with the car. We've had no problems really, and other than a nationwide battery recall that's not urgent. That's the only thing that's happened. We've had nothing personally going wrong with the call.
Yes, I would just like to add that that for around the city and not short little trips, really being able to, take, significant trips from home, the electric charging process is very effective. And of course, in these days, it saves you a lot of money because it's not, you don't buy any gas. You don't even notice that it's $4.47 a gallon.
Wow.
So that's one real important thing to say. Because we have a home, a standalone home with a driveway, it's not been difficult for us to buy and have installed a level 2 charger. So our car will charge overnight, no trouble at all. So from, quite a low level to high, it'll charge overnight. That cost probably a couple $1,000 to get that done, including the installation. But half of that we got back because of a Massachusetts rebate program. So, and we're, got certain deals from the electric companies that if you let them charge when not peak hours, you can get a reduction in your electric rates. So it really does save you money. Now, the problem right now, of course, is that electric cars are pretty expensive. So you might still make money, but it'll be, I think that some of the things that we've seen from our legislations, national, is that there are too many fossil fuel interests and too many, current car makers, that I'm sure that's one of the reasons there are fewer charging stations. I'm sure that's one of the reasons there are fewer subsidies for electric vehicles and electric apparatus. So whether we'll have the political muscle to, to help this transition, because it's very close to ready, and Europe is there. So, we have a good ways to go, I think, but I think some of it is really political and not a technological challenge. And I think Betty's suggestion is that we ask Mark and Nancy to go next. I'll turn this off, Rob, Mike.
Sure. Yeah. No. Thanks, Tim.
Hi. So we did buy a Hyundai Kona, a fully electric Hyundai Kona, and we also test drove the Bolt that Tim and Betsy bought. But they're very similar cars. The range is about the same, and the price was about the same. We also got the highest end one, so paid more than we ever have paid for a car before in our lives, for sure. So a couple of things just in response to what Tim and Betsy just said. One thing is just for people to understand that there are 3 levels of charging. So you can actually plug your car into a regular wall socket in your home, but it would probably takes about 45 hours to fully charge it, to go from 0 to 100. So you wouldn't do that regularly, but it is an option. We've done it in Maine when we've gone to our lake house and plugged it in for the weekend. So by the time we're done with the weekend, we're ready. We can drive home. And the level 2 charger, which Tim and Betsy had installed, we can't do that at where we live because we live in a condo. So we do our charging in Jamaica Plains Center. There's a place where there are 6 charging stations. It's a level 2 charger, and it takes probably, if you wanted to go from 0 to 100, probably take about 8 hours. But you would never do that anyway. You're going to be more like trying to get 50%, going from 20 to 70. And that might take 3 or 4 hours. And then level 3 chargers are the ones that you can find mostly on highways. Those Tesla chargers are I'm hoping that they open them up because that will make a big difference. But you can get a full charge from 0 to 100 in a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. But Betsy and Tim and I, and Mark and I have had many conversations about little things like once you're doing a fast charge, you get to 80% and it slows way, way, way down. So you can get up to 80% in like 45 minutes, but then the next 20% would take maybe another 45 minutes, could be. And supposedly the Biden administration has an interest in getting more charging infrastructure in place. And there certainly are car dealers, I think GM has, pledged to go fully electric, their whole entire fleet would be fully electric by something like 2035. So it feels like the infrastructure has got to get in at some point, because if people are going to be buying these cars, they're not going to be wanting to put up with what Tim and Betsy had to put up with on their trip south. And I think Mark's got a few other things to say.
Yeah, the range anxiety is the term for worrying about running out of charge. When we say 100%, that's like 300 miles or so. So you do have to plan. And as she said, we easily have charge for everything. I have a routine appointment down by the chargers, and we can charge it up to 50% easily. I leave it there and go on my appointment, and then come back in 4 hours, and that's up to 80%. It's pretty efficient. So, and we've never run out of charge. So Nancy's the big planner, and unfortunately, she kind of worries a little bit about running out of charge. But yeah, it hasn't happened. Initially, it was a little tricky to figure out how to plug the charger into the car, and a couple little things. But that was trivial, and yeah, it's very easy to use. One problem we have found is the electric motor is so powerful that in the winter, if the roads are slippery, your wheels can actually spin, and it's a little harrowing when it's slippery out. So we're looking into getting winter tires this next season, maybe studded snow tires. But if you have the option for a 4-wheel drive model of electric car, that might be better for the whole slippery roads problem. And it's a relief knowing we're doing something about climate change. We just feel so good. And as Tim said, we're saving money on gas. But yeah, the whole political, Russian oil thing with oil, it's just such a relief to know that we're able to do something. It definitely outweighs the charging issues. Yep. So yeah.
So now, Betty, do you want to talk about your nice hybrid in between?
Plug-in hybrid, that's what we're supposed to call it.
Yeah.
And interesting to hear about learn from both of you. We have a 2019 Crosstrek plug-in. And we've been Subaru fans forever. And it was the only plug-in that Subaru had. And we had a Crosstrek before this one. We've had one in 2015, which was a Crosstrek. It's a smaller car. Helps the price, but it's smaller. And then you put a battery in the back, and it's even smaller in terms of capacity for holding things. So we realized that. But for us, it felt like the right thing then. And that's what I meant for transition. It goes about 20 miles on electricity before it shifts automatically into using gas. For us, we never use gas daily in our city. I have a job that I go out to Newton, go to Belmont, I can go all the way there, come back, never use gas. Anywhere around the city, we never use gas. The minute we go up to Maine, after 20 miles, you get to about Saugus, a little bit further. And you hear the engine transfer to gas. So when we go out of town, we have to use gas. But I guess that's the range anxiety we don't have to worry about. So for us, it felt like the right thing because again, we'll go 3 weeks without filling, we don't have to fill up gas. It's only when we get up to Maine that we fill in gas. Even when we're in Maine, we can go to grocery shop, we can do all this around, we don't need gas, but it's the getting back and forth on the highway where we use gas. We got some good rebates too. I think about 4,500. And the cross strike was something like 32, if my memory is right, 32,000 with our trade-in and rebates. We paid under, I think 15 or something like that. But it depends on what you have and trade-ins and all that kind of stuff. In terms of charging, we have a garage, and in the garage there was always electricity because there was a light, and we just plug it in. We just come home, plug it in overnight. It's ready to go.
That's 110.
110. Yeah, 110. So we didn't have to do anything in terms of that, doing anything charged to or whatever the next level is. So that's very easy. And again, it's partly because you don't have a full tank to fill. I mean, we only have to do 20 miles and I don't know how long it takes, but we just plug it in. Next morning we go, it's fine. It's always full. So that's easier, I think. And so I think of it as a transition is what I said. It's like, for now, for us, in terms of what we drive, it works well. And again, when we go up to Maine, we know we're going to buy a tank of gas somewhere along the way. But it feels to me a little bit of a way to do that. Now, Subaru now is beginning to sell its Solterra, which is an all-electric, coming out in 23. And Rob and I have talked. It looks great. It's bigger, which I don't need, and it's probably more expensive, which I don't want. But we're moving in that direction.
They're delivering 6,000 of them to the United States this year, so they're very hard to get.
Betty,
And
what's
Subaru-
your, Betty, I'm just wondering what the gas mileage is when it is using gas.
Well, on our way home this morning, it was about 43, 44. So it's not bad, and it's a small car, so there's part of that, but that's better than we got in our old car. It was probably 30, 35, on the road, not town, in the road. So it's better, so they're improving that as well.
And that engine is much more efficient. We have the 2014 hybrid Subaru non-plug-in, and that's like 30 miles to the gallon. So that's great to hear.
yeah.
that you're getting
Yeah, it's gotten better.
non-plug-in hybrid. It's like a Prius. We don't have to
No.
charge it. Yeah, the engine charges the battery as you go, and it switches back and forth. But you can never be on full electric. That's the. Yeah, the problem with the battery and the engine is the size capacity, right? So for your car versus your guys, you have a lot less to go wrong with your vehicle. You have no combustion engine. You have no. You have tons of things that aren't in the car anymore.
Yeah, when you buy the car, you get, I think we got a 10-year warranty on the battery. That's how strong it is.
That's maintenance costs will be much less anticipated.
Yes, and I've heard that the plug-in hybrids, you have to do both. So there's something that could go wrong with one or the other, where you only have to deal with one, or the old gas-powered didn't only have to deal with one.
No exhaust system.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things. No buffer. No catalytic converter, which are being stolen. Have you seen this? The hybrids, people are stealing because of the palladium and these, high valued metals.
What you like about electric is it's so quiet. You go down the street, when you turn it on, sometimes you think, wait a minute, is it on or not? You can't tell. I mean, those are some of the beauties I find about an electric car.
Yeah, it drives almost exactly like our Prius. There's no adjustment to that. And people talk about it's got better pickup than the Prius did, but But I don't know, maybe this is a time people might have other questions. I mean, we've heard a few, and we can pass the mic to here and we can hear everybody. Anita.
Question.
Oh, I just have a question, maybe for Nancy and Mark, or anyway, for the all-electric vehicles. What happens if you were to run down the charge? What does the vehicle do and how do you fix it?
Purgatory.
Before we went to North Carolina, like Nancy does, I guess, in your family, I did a ton of planning. I did probably about 3 days planning, not constantly, but parts of 3 days to figure out where the charging stations were, where we were going to stop, what was safe in terms of I also looked and found information about what number do you call if your car quits on you. That almost never happens. We had one experience in Virginia where we were going from Charlottesville to Charlotte, or actually to a Walmart in Greensboro. Walmarts, by the way, have the best foresight in terms of many chargers, and it's a good place to do a level 2 charging, a level 3 charging, because some people go in to shop at Walmart and spend an hour there. Their car's ready to go from nothing. And we did have to stop on that way for that trip because it was somewhat rural and there were no level 3 chargers anywhere between Charlottesville and Greensboro at that time. And although they're better in the South than the charging systems are in New England. But we had to stop at a level 2 community college outside of Danville, Virginia, and wind around through their campus a little bit and find their level 2 charger and stay there for an hour and 15, just to get enough level 2 charging to be able to get onto the Walmart in Greensboro.
So I just want to say a couple of other things about Walmart. First of all, one of the lessons we learned is just plan to stop at Walmarts, because they're, entrepreneurs that they are. They've got chargers, they've got a number of them. And we don't live anywhere near a Walmart in Cambridge. And so I spent my time by wandering around Walmart, just seeing what the world was like out there, but they were good. I mean, you could get in and out pretty quickly there. So that's my reminiscence.
The other thing we discovered in the layouts of all the Walmarts we visited, where the bathrooms were. So because particularly you get to be a man of a certain age, you got to stop every 2 or 3 hours anyway. So, and it isn't. That's right. Don't stop at gas stations. Stop at Walmart. And so it isn't the worst thing in the world to break up a 10-hour drive and make it 12 or 13, and have that extra 3 hours be time where you're not driving.
I mean, we're talking a lot about long distance driving, which of course it only occurs. I mean, we've only taken one really long distance drive, I think. But for going around the city or local, it's really great. I mean, it's just effortless. And you can go, I don't know how long we go without recharging, just going around the city, but we don't use much even electricity. And one thing, and Nancy and Mark, you might know this. This is a question I have. I can't figure out for my Eversource bill how much our charging, they don't separate it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
well,
right.
we
You
don't-
don't charge from home.
Yeah, we don't charge at home. So.
I can't look carefully at the bill. I'm going to email Eversource or something.
It's funny because I wanted to ask my sister who pays the bill at our lake house if the weekend that we just charged it the whole time, whether there was a big jump up, and she never said that there was.
We have a son, Jesse, who's a physicist who knows all this stuff, and he's tried to compare our bill and the timing that we've used. And we decided a year ago that it was about the same cost. the charging and the gas. But that's when gas was $1 cheaper also. So I'm sure that now we're saving money, but it's like how much you charge and how much you do. It was really hard. There, he's got the formula, how many gigabyte, whatever. But there was about the same. We weren't saving a lot of money. We were saving the earth. That's how we thought about it.
Are you guys paying for electricity when you plug in at Walmart and gas stations? How does that work?
For the most part, you do pay at those places.
The Walmart might be free. Some of them are free.
Some are free,
Usually-
but not that many.
Usually you do pay, but it's way less than you would pay if you're getting a tank of gas, way less.
So,
And,
Tim, are those level 3 chargers at the Walmarts?
level 3, yep,
They're free, and some of them can be free?
I think so. I think I remember that.
Wow.
But most of the ones we used were some charge, but maybe pay $12 for a full charge.
Okay, that's helpful. And
Yeah.
Nancy and Mark, when you say you pre-schedule your charging, does that mean online you can kind of block out a certain day and a certain time in advance for those chargers?
Is that what you said?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. No, there's 6 chargers several blocks away, and I've never had any problem.
I see. So
getting a
you just
slot.
show up.
Yeah.
You can't reserve a spot.
No, no. And but I don't think we have ever had the experience that Tim and Betsy had, though, which is we've never gotten to a place where we haven't been able to charge, even on road trips.
Okay.
So that is a
And the
fear of mine.
Sure. And sorry, also Karen just asked, Mark, are those free that you charge yours from? No, you pay for those.
Yeah, no.
But very low cost.
Okay.
There's,
It's probably about $2 for 2 hours. It's like $1 an hour, something like that.
And there are local places. Our supermarket has free level 2 charging. There are a number of places that have free level 2 charging.
Again, it's the economics. It makes sense for Walmarts to do that because you're going to shop there or a supermarket. So if we get people to sort of think that way, and I do believe the more cars that are out there that need this, the infrastructure is going to come. Like which comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, so I think getting the demand up will make people respond to that, whether it's corporate America or it's government or whatever, we've got to get the demand up.
Do any of you ever put roof racks on your cars because yours is smaller? And I'm just wondering about that for road trip to Maine.
Yeah, we
It
have
just
a
cuts
roof rack.
down, I guess, on the.
And
charge.
the other thing that cuts down for us, I don't know about you, is using the heater in the winter. You know, we can't get as many miles if you turn on your heater.
Yes.
I don't remember it from air conditioning, but it probably does the same thing.
When I was coming back from Philadelphia last year by myself, I didn't have I was worried about having enough charge to get home. And it was cold. So I had the heat on, and as soon as I got warm enough, I turned it off. I just kept turning it off and on just to make sure I could get home.
That's
One of the things our Bolt has, and probably maybe all electric cars have, are seat warmers. So if it's 2 people and a steering wheel warmer. So that takes very little electricity. And
Battery.
you don't, if it's just 2 of you with electric warmed seats, you can frequently do quite well without your heater. But the mileage in the winter is lower. The range in winter is lower because of the, something about the cold weather and the electrical systems in cold weather.
Yeah, I was just going to say quickly that I've been astonished at the change in the last month or so about how much less frequently we are charging for charging our car. That it's the temperature, that our mileage, the range, it just stays much steadier. It's a big difference between winter and summer. And this says something about the part of the country we live in, those of us who lived in colder climates. I was thinking, geez, people in Georgia or South Carolina or so, you probably, There would be a big economic difference over the long haul. Well, air conditioning.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, air conditioning. Yeah.
It looks like Diane has a question.
I have a question and I feel like I should probably just go online, but I was curious if anybody knew, like in New England, where most of our electricity comes from, how much of that is like coal or other kinds of fossil fuels? And the other question is, do we know where the batteries go when you have to replace them?
Those are good questions.
Mostly hydro, right? We thankfully, New England has mostly hydro, majority. But if you pay extra, you can get 100% wind from either your electrical source, EverSource or whoever. But also I don't think we yet have solar panels that can actually get you off the grid. At least in Eastern Massachusetts, I don't think you can do that. You have to have your own batteries and things. But yeah, we've been doing that for about 10 years, paying for 100% wind. And if you have a choice, wind is better than solar, apparently, in Massachusetts. It's greener. But of course, you're paying for it, and you're paying EverSource. So it's an ethical mismatch, but it's almost as if you're paying for carbon credits in my view. Right? But it's also, I think, it's incentivizing also to change the grid if everyone's doing that. I don't know.
We've considered in Maine getting a carport with solar panels to charge the car,
Nice.
so that would be an evolving circle. So we're working on it.
That'd be cool.
And did you research whether you can do that? Because I guess you could pay for batteries.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
or you
so.
could pay for a situation where it's not going to go back into the grid, but that solar is going to stay with
Into
you.
that one.
Yeah.
One port.
Yeah, which I would imagine you'd still need a battery to do that. You need an inverter, and you probably need a battery, right? Because your car's not going to be always plugged in. I don't know. Maybe they can route it back into the grid for when it's overage and you're not charging your car.
Yeah. Merlin's done some research.
Yeah, that's
We
exciting.
haven't had the electrician come out and price it either. So
Sure.
it may
Well,
be,
there's that.
it
Yeah.
could be a little more than we want to spend.
I don't know about the battery. I mean, I have this vague idea that the batteries that they try to reuse them for other purposes. So once they're done with the car, they don't have enough power to do a car, but they can be used for other purposes. But I don't know exactly. I can find out though, Diane. I mean, Christine probably knows the answer to that question, actually. One thing I wanted to say is that, and Tim and Betsy used this service as well, but there's an organization called Green Energy Consumers Alliance. It's here in Massachusetts. If you live in Massachusetts or Rhode Island, you can go there through their Drive Green program, and they have a website, and get a discount on buying an electric car. And they also help with a lot of other things, and they have webinars and lots of information about electric cars. We didn't hear
Evelyn,
whatever that was.
It was, we just repeated the Green Energy Consumer Alliance
Okay.
that you mentioned, Karen asked. And Evelyn, looks like you have your hand raised.
Referring back to an earlier comment by Mark, why would tires slip more with an electric car than with a conventional car in the winter when it's slippery out?
Right. The torque in an electric motor is much greater. And there's something called traction control that is supposed to deal with issues around this, but I haven't quite figured out how to make it work.
Isn't also some of it that the battery, where the battery is located in the car is different? It makes the weight of the car different. That can make it, affects it as well. That's what I thought.
Well, the batteries, yeah, I'm not sure about that, because the battery is kind of at the center of gravity, which is actually a good thing for control of the vehicle. So maybe, yeah, I'll look into that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that is a good,
go ahead.
it's a good question because I don't think we've had that. I've had that experience once that I can remember, and it was just a momentary little, like I thought, oh, I'm not, I'm not gripped on the road, but it was just a few seconds. And Tim, have you had? I don't know.
I don't remember having it at all. In fact, we had much more of that experience with the Prius.
Oh.
It's a front wheel drive, I would imagine. Is the Hyundai a front wheel drive?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
it's got
Yeah.
And that's why we have stayed with Subarus forever,
them.
because they're four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
All of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I mean, we haven't had, actually, it was at Diane's.
Yeah, it was at
house, so-
Diane's house. Diane doesn't know that. I
Yeah.
never told her, but it was, Diane has a very steep driveway and I was driving, came over in the winter and it had snowed. And we were trying to get up the driveway and we kept sliding back. Finally got up, and then of course I was worried about getting down. And so yeah, that was the thing that was like, oh no, we have to figure this out. But luckily we're not on that many steep, snowy roads very often.
I haven't heard this as a problem. I don't know if our particular car is.
Oh, no,
Um,
I did a little research and it is a problem.
Oh,
It
really?
definitely is an issue for at least some electric cars, yeah.
Do you all have a frunk? Is that what it's called?
No, it's just like,
A trunk in
especially
the
because
front?
the Hyundai is built just like the Hyundai Kona electric gas car. So you open it up and that's, there's all
Yeah.
sorts of electrical looking stuff.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
And that's your batteries in the front too? Yeah. Yours is in the back. And your engine.
No, the battery is underneath the where you sit. Yeah. But there's all sorts of electrical stuff under where you would see the engine in a gas car.
I'm going back to the question about car racks on top of the electric cars. We don't have a rack, but we have, what do you call it, Tim? Like,
Oh, yeah, it's designed, it's got the, whatever, yeah, I forget what you call them too.
Roof rack.
Roof rack, thank you. But we haven't used it much. We haven't needed it, but so we're usually going with 2 people. So if you have 4 people, this would be much tighter.
What about the noise? Electric cars are quiet. Do they have artificial noise? Like,
Not significant ones. Ours don't. So you have to be aware that, and as I've started walking more and more, I'm thinking, I gotta look to see if anything's coming. I can't hear if anything's coming.
Well, Tim, our car was built it makes a noise if it's moving at any speed, but it's very quiet. I had the window open last night and I said, oh, it sounds like horror movie music. It was like very, very light, but kind of weird. But yeah, so you do hear something, but for our car anyway.
And some hybrids, my daughter-in-law has a hybrid that when she backs up, it sounds like a big truck backing up. I mean, it's sort of like,
overkill.
and yeah,
Yeah,
so
interesting.
it depends, I think, on the model and the kind and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Because they have all these gadgets now, everything, you cross the middle line, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do we have our questions answered? Do we have any additions? I appreciate people coming and listening.
Yes, we're accepting commissions from the electric car companies. So,
Yeah, right.
you come through us if you want to buy one.
well, what I was going to say, if any of you want to have a ride in an electric vehicle,
Ooh, that's a nice
let us know. We'll come pick you up and take you for a ride. So
I would love to do that. My favorite thing is when I have somebody who has never been in an electric car before is to do the pickup, the acceleration. It is like being in a spaceship. You can go from 0 to I don't know what in so fast. And Bob Thomas did that for us when he took us for a ride in his Tesla. And it just felt like it was really, really cool. So that's a fun thing to do. We're happy to do that too.
The other thing,
Cool.
Merlin has told me that I'm a more conservative driver now that I have this, because on the gauge on our screen, it shows me when the engine's gonna work and when it's charging. And so I always want it to be charging. I don't want to be using the engine. So I slow down sooner, so I don't put on the gas. So I become a more conservative, which probably is a good thing too.
That's good.
Evelyn, go
Evelyn's
ahead.
got a question.
In terms of Tim's comment of spending parts of 3 days planning a long drive, is there like one central website that shows all of the charging stations in the country where you can click on a state and just see all of
Evelyn,
them
you
there?
get that, you get an app on your phone, you have an app in your car, and those are essential, because otherwise you'd have no idea where those charging stations are. But you can pre-plan that way too. You can, and I certainly did when I was going long distance. I had on my phone, where the next charger was. And as they get to be more of them, and some of them weren't even quite listed yet because this is still developing, but there, there's a lot these days electronically designed to help you use these vehicles.
And when you show up, you're off in some other state on your way south or wherever. And when you
Well,
show
if you're
up,
going long distance, you're probably in another, although we went to Danbury, Connecticut, well, there's another state too, Danbury, Connecticut, and that was the longest wait we had anywhere. So, but as I say, New England is worse, right, or was a year ago with electric charging than most everywhere else we went.
but you typically find that there's an available charger when you show up at one of these places?
Yeah, that Danbury one, we had to wait about an hour before we could get on the right kind of charger. That's the only, well, no, there was one other time that we had to wait, 15, 20 minutes to
And
get on the
we
proper
haven't had to
charger.
wait at all, Evelyn.
Oh, wow. And waiting, it's similar like a gas station. You just pull up behind the person in front of you.
Yeah, you just get near or you stand there, really. You just put your car in a
Right,
parking space and you stand there and say, I'm next. But that's almost never happened.
Okay, that's helpful.
I will say that we didn't quite anticipate going down. The time to charge, even with was it just a level 3? It's about an hour. So you have to build that in. And what we tried to do was to find places where we could charge the car and then go to some local place and get lunch, just a deli or something, and get something to eat, make it be our lunch stop as well. So you kind of learn, you get tricks of the trade along the way.
We charged in a Hannaford's parking lot this last weekend. We went up to Maine for my niece's graduation, and I found a bookstore and I went in and bought a bunch of books. So that is a danger. Going to stores and buying things while your car is charging.
Yeah.
Nancy's at the Hannaford, New York, Maine.
Topsum.
Oh, okay, there's a different one then.
Yeah.
You start to learn where these places are.
Yes.
I know we're running out of battery power, but I have a question of existential. Like, do you feel like you're seeing too many screens in electric vehicles? It seems like there's suddenly all the dials that used to be like, your miles per gallon would be just like a dial. Now it's all digital, right? Everything's digital. Is that right? I mean, I don't know.
Ours is not that way. Ours is, we
Have
have a
dials.
screen, but you also have a regular dial, a regular thing. I mean, it's lit up, so it looks a little different, but yeah. So that's
So it's a
pretty
mix.
normal. Although
Okay.
I have heard somebody, I think it was Bill Brown's partner, Ray, he said he would never get a Tesla because Tesla is only the screen. It operates just with the screen, and he doesn't like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Bolt is like just that one screen either, is it?
No,
It's a
although I
mix.
have
Okay,
found the
good.
Bolt, many of the additional, like I'm trying to think of specific examples. There are pieces of the electronics that I have to always think through very carefully. I don't get it in my brain necessarily about using. There's a lot more electronic, but I think that goes with many vehicles
Of
these
course.
days.
Yeah.
That's
it's
the era
norm.
we're in and the fact that we're
Yep.
of an older generation.
It's the norm. Nope.
Yeah.
Totally. So good. Diane said that was great. Thank you is the chat. And Joan Tai said this has been illuminating. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so people saw.
And what
Well,
I should
thanks to
say, and probably
everyone.
Tim and
Yeah,
Thanks,
a
Nancy. Mark.
hybrid
Oh,
adult
if you,
CE.
if you want to reach out to any of us and talk about it more, I'm happy to. So.
thank you guys. This was the first ever hybrid adult ed.
Yay!
Historic. Thank you guys. Well done. All right. There we go.
Thanks very much.
All right. Bye, y'all.